welcome to my channel. My name is Sofia and I'm a Swedish model living and working here in Seoul, South Korea. And welcome to my series called Modeling in Korea. In this series, I'm talking about things that I think is essential and necessary to know before you come to Korea working as a model or an entertainer on the E6 visa. I'm just like making a little series talking about things that I do think people tend to forget about or didn't even know they needed to know before coming here. And in today's episode, I'm gonna do a little deep dive into expenses of living in Korea, the importance of savings before you come here on a E6 visa. I mentioned a few of these things in my other videos, but I kind of wanted to do a deep dive because there's so much to say about this. Like, I could go on and on and on, but I kind of wanted you to just get like a little idea of how much it actually costs living in Korea, and especially on the E6 visa, because you will not have a regular income, and that's really important to remember. When you come to Korea to work as a model or entertainer on the E6 visa, as I said, there's no regular income. There's no certainties, no guarantees when it comes to money. There's no comfort. To take myself as an example, right now it's March. I did a few jobs back in January of this year. Those jobs are not gonna pay my agency until mid-March, which is right now. But my agency only pays me once a month, which is in the beginning of the month, which means that I will have to wait until April to get paid from my agency for the stuff that I did in January. That also includes expenses I put out for those shoots, which is expenses that the casting agency that hired me for the shoot is gonna pay back. But that money is coming together with my payment for the shoot. That means that not only do I have to wait for the money I earned from the shoot, but I'm also having to wait to get paid back for money I put out of my own pocket for this shoot. I think a good thumb of rule when it comes to entertainment work in Korea is that it's probably the same everywhere, but just like keep in mind that the higher the payment, the later they're gonna pay you. They usually would say, if it's for a commercial, will pay you within 3 months. And usually you have to wait until the product even comes out before they pay you, which is normal here. But that also means that sometimes I've had experience of they say, oh, we will pay you within 3 months. Then 3 months come around and I say, hi, I just want to check everything's fine, that you paid to my agency, and they say, oh, sorry, you know, I will pay you 2 weeks late. Okay, but now I'm not getting paid until like a month after this, and it's just hard to plan. But that's why it's so important to have some type of savings, not only because the payment could be late, but also because you have so much expenses a month that you just really need to plan for. Because if you can't pay those things and you have to wait 3 months for payment, it's gonna start getting very stressful. And as I mentioned before, you are not allowed to do any part-time jobs, no extra jobs. All your money has to come from entertainment work, and the money has to go through your agency. And the reason it has to go through your agency is 1, it's in your contract. 2, that's what the law says. 3, you really want the money to go through your agency so they can pay taxes for you and prove that, look, this person is here working legally and they're making money, they pay taxes. I'm actually in the process myself right now to renew my visa, and one of the things I have to do is to go to my local tax office and ask them to bring out a copy of all my taxes of last year, so 2022. 2022's taxes is something I have to submit to immigration office to show why I should renew my visa. You can't do any side hustles when it comes to entertainment work. So let me explain. If, let's say, I were to go and do some photo shoots on the side, not report that to my agency, that means that they could, if they wanted to, just cancel my visa and cancel my contract. In the end of the day, I understand that sometimes it's hard with money, and we suffer a lot because we're not allowed to do anything else, and we have dry month after dry month sometimes. But at the same time, if you work on the side, if you do part-time jobs, you might actually not be able to renew your visa, and worst case, you might actually get deported. or even have your visa cancelled by your agency. This is why I think it's very important that you have savings. I cannot emphasize enough, especially if you're moving abroad on a visa that is so restricted as this visa is. Really think about what you're doing before you're moving abroad. Is this gonna be a smart decision? I'm not saying you shouldn't follow your dreams, but to keep afloat, you need a certain amount of money every month to just, keep living. And if you don't make any money to support that, then you're gonna have to use your savings. And if you don't have savings, it's really difficult. So now to monthly expenses. This will really depend on where you live, the location of where you live, the house you're living in. If you live in a villa, which I am currently living in with my boyfriend. A villa is a older house that is maybe 4 to 5 stories high. It's like 2 apartments on each floor. It's not very modern. My first ever house I lived in Korea was a villa. Then I lived in an office hotel, which is an apartment building, but smaller rooms, I guess. It's not big at all, but it has everything you need, but it is more expensive. In general, villas are more cheap, they are lower in price compared to office hotels or apartments. And your monthly costs are also gonna depend a lot on weather. Do I need to have the heating on? Do I need to have the AC on? Which phone plan did I choose? All these things are going into it, and all of it adds up in the end. And I did a little calculation using my old office hotel apartment as an example, because I lived alone, and I think this is the kind of living situation that most people desire when they come to Korea. First year of living in my office hotel, the rent was 450,000 won a month. I also had 5 million won in key money. Second year, I resigned, and the owner of the apartment raised the payment to be 470,000 won. Then on top of that, you have something called kwalibi, or maintenance fee, which is 50,000 won, and that's just something you pay to the building because there are people working there. They take care of your mail when it comes. They keep it clean and secure. If you have some problem with your apartment, you can ask them for help. They help you out. So you pay for maintenance fee of the house. And on top of that, you have to pay your bills like electricity and gas. And this money can vary a lot depending on the month. When I lived in the office tower, I would say it was between 30,000 won a month to maybe 70,000 won a month on top of that. Sometimes even more, sometimes even more, really depending on how cold or how hot it was, or if I forgot the heater on or something like that. So yeah, it gets pretty expensive. And just to give you a frame of reference too, that since of last year, the gas prices in Korea has gone up a lot. It increased so much. We used to pay maybe around 80,000 won a month for the gas. Of course, when it's winter, you have the gas on more often and so on. I think our gas bill last month was about 160,000 won. That is a lot of money for just keeping the house heated, to use the gas to cook on the stove. Then you have phone bill. And it also depends really on what company you're going for, what's your plan, your data plan, your phone plan. I pay 33,000 won a month, so say 35,000 won a month to make it easier to calculate in the end. But that's still 35,000 won a month. Yet again, not a lot, but it adds up. And then we have the national health insurance, which is mandatory for foreigners living in Korea. And I try to call national health insurance to ask what the monthly payment is based on, because every person I talk to has a different payment. I pay 140,000 won a month. It's a lot. That is a lot of money in the end. This insurance starts not when you first land. It starts after 6 months of being in the country. For example, I went home to Sweden this summer for more than a month, and that's the key word. If you're out of the country for more than a month, your insurance pauses. It doesn't keep going. So I pay my insurance up to the date I left. However, when I came back in August, if I wanted to get the insurance back in place, I would have to call the National Health Insurance and ask them to put it on. But then I would have to pay for the months I was out of the country, for the month we're in right now, and for the next month upfront. After 6 months, that's when your national health insurance starts per automatic. I pay 140,000 won a month. that also adds up. So remember, after 6 months, you're gonna have an additional payment each month you have to do. And then we also have traveling expenses, T-money. It's called T-money here. Either you have it just connected to your bank card and it just automatically withdraws from there, or you have a little T-money card that you put cash onto. That, I would say I spend between 80,000 won a month to 100,000 won a month on just traveling expenses. On top of that, of course, they raised the prices on the travel expenses since of this year. So, yay! Not enough that it's been a very harsh year with the economy, but all the prices are going up. Food is more expensive, everything is more expensive. They even raised the cost of taking the taxi, so that's quite expensive now compared to when I first came here. I would say it's between 80,000 won to 100,000 won a month. However, I will probably start counting as 100,000 won because I don't really know yet how huge of a difference the raise of the price is gonna make for me. Even if it's 300 won extra per fare that you have to pay, that still adds up a lot in the end. If we put all that together and we count on rent, quality or maintenance fee, house, like gas and electricity bills, I'm gonna just count on 50 to make it easy, but it's probably gonna be way more than that. Yeah, I would say probably 50 to 100. I said earlier 30 to 70, but I think today it would be more. But I'm just like using my calculations from the time when I lived in an office tower. So say 50 to make it easy. Then we have travel expenses. I'm gonna count on 100 just to make it like, it's better to count a little bit more than less. Then I'm gonna count 35,000 won for my phone bill. Side note, if you, like when I lived in my office town, I had to pay extra for internet in my house as well as having TV, like a TV box. And that was like another 20,000 won a month, just that. Okay, we put in that as well, just in case. So that's 20,000 won for that. Then we have the national health insurance. I don't know what your payment is gonna be a month, but okay, we're counting on mine, so it's 140 just to make it easy, and that would all end up at 865,000 won a month, and that is not included food. That is not included, you know, go shopping, like buying skincare, makeup, having coffee with your friends, birthday celebrations, going to dinners, for gym membership, and if you go to the PT. So there's a lot of money that you need a month to just keep afloat. What I just counted for you is just without even eating, which is something you have to do. You probably would need at least 1 million. I don't even know how much money I spend on food a month, but I spend quite a lot because the price has gone up again almost every time I go. Even if I just buy a few items, like 3 to 5 items, it's like 30,000 won, 50,000 won. It's really expensive. It really adds up in the end. I can't stress that enough. And you might think, well, it's way more expensive in my country to live, like getting away with 865,000 won to 1 million a month. That's like nothing. But you are not having a proper income. You don't have a regular income. You don't know how much you're gonna make, you don't know when you're gonna get paid, you don't even know like when am I gonna make money. You can have a month without any work, you can have 2 months without work. You don't know when money is coming in, and that's why it's so hard to balance things on this visa money wise, because you still need to be able to go to castings. You still need to be able to take the train to the shoot you're doing. And if you don't have money for that, then you can't even show up on the set that you have to go to. That is a little bit of a deep dive into expenses of living in Korea and money you need to have and why it's important to have savings. Because let's say you come to Korea, you spend 5 million won on an apartment, then you have to pay rent and all these expenses. Maybe you don't get any job the first month, maybe not the second either. Let's say you get your first job in the third month of being in Korea, and that takes 3 months to pay. That means that you've gone 6 months without getting payment if you're very unlucky. That is a lot of money you just have to come up with. That's just money you need to have so you can pay and sustain yourself. And that's why I think it's so important to really think of these things before you come here. And if you're gonna talk about gym and memberships and stuff like that, it really depends on which gym you're going to. If you want to take dance lessons, it's about like 30,000 won a lesson, so that's quite a lot. For gym, I think I pay about 40,000 won a month. My gym also doesn't give me a discount if I pay for a lot of months up front, which I think is kind of mean. I think it's mean. They should give me a discount for paying for a lot of months up front. PT sessions is about 50,000 won to 100,000 won a session per lesson, I would say. Depends on the area, where you're going, which gym, their knowledge, their education. It really depends on, but it's not cheap at all. You are gonna be the one paying for all this. No one's gonna help you with that. Your agency is not gonna do anything for you when it comes to your expenses, your private living expenses, and keeping yourself afloat and maintain. You might have to cut your hair, or like me, I dye my hair every 1.5 months, but I do it with box dye that I buy from Sweden. But if you go to a hairdresser and do it every month, that's another fee you have to pay. It gets very expensive very quickly, and that's why I do think it's very important to try to have savings before coming here, so you don't end up in a position where you're like, well, I can't pay anything. What are you gonna do? You might have to leave the country then. And that's what we don't want to. We don't want to end up in trouble. We don't want to do something illegal. We don't want to have to leave early just because things are not working out. I hope that gives you a little bit clarity of what I've talked about before about expenses. I do feel like I'm very confusing when I'm explaining, because there's so much to say and I'm trying to keep it short. Of course, all these expenses are gonna be very catered to you. It depends on where you live, which area, which line, all these things. It really is a case by case. However, just prepare yourself for spending a lot of money and maybe not making a lot of money to make up for it. And if you do, you might still have to wait for that payment for a long time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave some thumbs up, subscribe, and if you have any questions about modeling in Korea, living on an E6 visa, being a model, entertainer, please leave the questions down below. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a lovely day. Bye guys!